Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today we're going to be talking about the Houston Texans potentially releasing Denico Autry, defensive end. Denico Autry played 10 games last season for the Houston Texans, starting in only 2 of them, but did have 3 passes defense with 3 sacks and 13 tackles, with 3 tackles for loss and 6 QB hits for the Texans. Texans in the offseason signed him to a 2-year, $20 million deal, where in that after that deal was signed, he had an amazing season with before that deal was signed, he had an amazing season with the Titans in 2023, 17 games, 14 starts, and had 2 forced fumbles, 4 passes defense, 12 sacks, 50 tackles, 12 tackles for loss. And so that was a big reason why the Texans wanted to bring him in, and they give him a 2-year, $20 million deal. He comes in, and he gets suspended for like the first 5 or 6 games of the season, and because of PED use, and so that was tough, and Texans lose him for a while. He comes back, and he looked okay for this team as an extra defensive end. But the thing is that having Will Anderson and also having not only just Will Anderson but also having Daniel Hunter, I mean, you don't really. I mean, like, having Denico Autry is solid, but you don't need him as a starter. He only started in 2 of his 10 games. And I think he's a really good backup piece, but the Texans, cap space-wise, aren't in the best situation right now. Right now, the cap space, they only have $1.6 million to spend in cap space. Obviously, you can go in the negative range. There are plenty of teams that are in the negative range right now. Texans, a couple weeks ago, were in the negative range. So it's not like a death sentence if you go to the negative range, but I think you want to be in a better position in cap space if you want to, be able to spend more money potentially in free agency. And Denico Autry could do that. Right now, there's only about $2 million to spend. Like I said, you can go under. But Denico Autry does free up about $10 million in cap space. So that would be interesting for this team potentially. I think if he was on a smaller contract, I don't even think this would be a discussion. I think if maybe the Texans only gave him $5 million a year last year, it would have been nice to have another $5 million to spend in free agency, but I don't think you consider it. But since he is making $10 million next season, I think it has to be considered for the Houston Texans to potentially let go of Denico Autry. And especially after potentially you could consider a disappointing 2024 season. Like, he helped. He had 3 sacks in his 10 games. I'm not saying he wasn't helpful, but the Texans brought him in, gave him a good amount of cash, because of what he did in 2023, and he was nowhere near that. And I know he played less. He played 7 games less, started in 12 games less, so that can make an effect on him as well. But and I think he can continue to be helpful for this team. And honestly, I think it's hard to cut a D lineman, especially when I think the ultimate goal is to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, right? That's the ultimate goal. The Texans just lost to the Chiefs again. Second time this season, second time in the playoffs to Patrick Mahomes. But what have we learned about Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs, and what is their kryptonite? It is facing great defensive line teams. What happens when they face an elite defensive line like the Tampa Bay Bucks? They get killed in the Super Bowl. What happens when they face just a elite defensive line in the Eagles in the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago? They get crushed. So I think the key point to beat the Kansas City Chiefs is not having an explosive offense. Like, if you have having C.J. Stroud is great, and having him to hand the ball off to a guy like Joe Mixon or throw the ball to Nico Collins or other weapons to improve his offense is good, and I think that's great to match to Patrick Mahomes' offense. But I think the key point to beat the Kansas City Chiefs is having an elite defensive line, and we've seen that in the last 2 Super Bowls that Patrick Mahomes has lost, in his only 2 Super Bowls to the Eagles and the Bucks. And I mean, losing to Denico Autry kind of makes this defensive line worse. And so, but I don't know. If you need a free cap space, I think one of the best options to free cap space for this Texans team is cutting Denico Autry, but we'll see what they end up doing. Let me know your thoughts on the potential roster cut for the Houston Texans in the comment section, but you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Peace out. Go Texans.